for live, but I got so much crap on my desk, I don't like to show it. Okay, so welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping and wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. Got a question, what to know before buying a rental property? There's such a great question because so many people do not ask the right questions before talking to the seller on a rental property. So the first thing you got to ask is if there's somebody in there and the seller wants to sell it with the person in there or without. Now, very often I get better deals because people will sell it to me with the tenant. Now, there is a misconception going around with many sellers, and I see it all the time, where they seem to think that if they're selling me a property with a tenant, that it's going to be more valuable. Well, let me break that concept right away. Everyone wants to screen their own tenants, right? Unless you have a tenant who's paying twice what market rent is. Short of that, I want to get my own person in there. I want to see who it is. Believe it or not, I've bought properties from tenants that were paying and stopped paying when I bought it. They were like, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. I showed them a deed. They don't care. And then I had to evict them. It's happened. And here's the truth, though. So a few questions you need to ask. You need to ask, is there somebody in there? How much are they paying? Are they current? Now, sellers lie, right? They'll say the guy's current when he hasn't paid in 2 years. That happens too. So I think in the situation, I got proof that he was paying, that the former tenant was current, and then when I bought it, he stopped paying. So you don't want to buy properties with tenants in them unless the guy's paying more than market. Now, what happens almost all the time? Now, more questions to ask. So very often you're going to buy the property, it's vacant. So then you want to ask, what was the last tenant paying? How long was the last tenant there? Now, that should be no indication to you about what you should charge. I buy properties all the time from people who are renting for incredibly below market rents. And I get excuses, and they know it. And they go, oh, the guy's been a good tenant. I had him for 12 years. I only raised his rent once 9 years ago. Market rents are really high in our area, extremely high, especially now when it's almost impossible to get something. So do not base your idea of what you can charge on a rental property based on what the former landlord told you he was charging. That is not a good indication. So here are the things you want to ask. Is there a tenant in there? Are you selling it with the tenant or are you delivering it vacant? How much is the tenant paying if it's vacant? How much was the last tenant paying? From a seller, you want to know when things were updated. So when did they update the roof or the boiler, the major systems? Oh, sorry. You want to know what the landlord pays, right? What do you pay? What are you paying? What utilities are you paying? Do you pay for water? Do you pay for sewer? Do you pay for electricity, right? How many meters are there if it's more than one unit, right? If there's 2 people in there, is there only 1 meter? That happens a lot by us. 3 units, only 1 meter. It's probably not a legal 3. That happens all the time. It might be, but there might only be 1 meter, so you need to verify. How much the guy has spent. So you basically want to see a year or 2, or even better 3. How much have you spent on maintenance on this on this property? How much have all your expenses been? Now you want to get net operating income. Now we discussed before, really for residential property, the net operating income isn't as important as it is for commercial properties. Just to reiterate, residential property is 1 to 4 family residential. Commercial is 5 or more units or any kind of non-residential property, so office, warehouse, that kind of thing. So the net operating income is going to be seen by the lender on a commercial property as the primary source of repayment. For a residential property, the borrower is going to be seen as the primary source of repayment. But you still want to know that before you buy a rental property. So you also want to know things that the guy may not be able to tell you. You want to go to the local municipality. So in our area, that could be a village, a town. And you want to see what it's zoned for. And you want to see what really is it. Now, people will say things like, this is a legal 2-family. Look at the county site. So in our area, what happens all the time is that the county is taxing a property as a 2 or a 3 or a 4 family, but the local municipality, which could be the town. There's only 3 towns in Nassau: so town of Hempstead, town of North Hempstead, town of Oyster Bay, or any of the towns in Suffolk, or any of the villages or the cities, city of Long Beach, city of Glen Cove. You want to ask them, what is it? What is it really being used as? And very often it's being taxed at something that it's not. Now, if it's taxed as a 2-family, for example, and the local township has it as a single family, it does have some value to be taxed at that because, and this is something nobody tells you, an appraiser can do an appraisal as a two-family. You can show the appraiser the page from the county, and the appraiser can not ask for a certificate of occupancy. Understand if you buy something like that, the town, the local municipality can come to you and go, you're using this illegally. That can happen. A neighbor can complain. There's no parking. The two tenants get into a fight with each other. This happens all the time, and you may have to remove cooking apparatus from one unit. You may have to change the ingress and egress. But you do have the ability, if you're going to sell it for something that's taxed as a 2 or a 3, whatever it's taxed as by the county. And that does give you does give the property additional value. Even though it's stupid, you're going to have to sort of be, if you want to sell it, you have to be clear with people and say, listen, it doesn't have a C of O as a 2. It's taxed as a 2. If you're okay with that, I know you can get an appraisal as a 2, and therefore you can get more money or whatever the hell it is. So understand that. So you want to ask, what is it really legally? You want to go check that out and verify it. A lot of landlords, some will lie, and some just have no idea. Sometimes people think they've been used as a 3-family since they bought it 40 years ago, or since the day it was built. That doesn't mean you will have as easy a time getting rid of it. So you need to understand that, and you need to make it clear to the seller. Listen, I'd love to pay you what you're asking, but because it doesn't have a CFO for what you're saying, I have to pay you less. I had a situation like that in the village of Farmingdale. Okay. Those are the basic questions. And you also need to ask about, so we discussed the major system. So you want to say, when was the boiler redone? When was the roof done? Windows. You want to look at what needs to be done, because these are capital improvements that you're going to need to make if you hold the property for a long time. So I have friends in other parts of the country who buy properties. If they're $100 cash flow positive a month, they think it's a deal. I'm going to get appreciation. I'm going to get depreciation, all these things. But in my opinion, it's a mistake, because if you're cash flow positive just a little, you're basically one capital improvement away from being cash flow negative for a long time. So if you're cash flow positive even $200 on a property and the roof is really old, and you got to replace that roof because it starts leaking one day, and the guy tells you, this is a complete ripoff, I can't put a layer on top, it's a disaster, all the plywood's gone, it's $10,000. That's 5 years of your profits down the toilet on one roof repair. And you need to make a roof repair. It's not something you can not do, right? If a boiler goes, it's $3,000, $4,000 most of the time, right? If you're only cash flow positive $200, you're now cash flow negative for 2 years. And you can't not fix them. There are certain things you can't not fix. There are a lot of things you can not fix, right? The appliances are a little old. You could possibly not fix them. That is possible. But, sorry. I'm waiting for this call for a while. But you can't not fix the heat in the winter. You can't not fix a roof leak, right? You can't not fix a leak that's going into somebody's area. Those are things you can't not fix. You have to fix them, right? And if you're not seriously cash flow positive and you're not saving money, if you're not saving, forget about it. Even if you're not saving, but at least you're making money. If I'm making $600 a month, I'm making $7,000, $8,000. That'll cover most capital improvements. If I need to replace a refrigerator, for $1,000, I'm still doing okay. And these are things that are going to happen. I just got to tell you, like, appliances are made like shit today. They're made to be done in 5 to 10 years. So the idea that you're going to keep your oven forever is absurd. It's going to break. And most tenants are going to treat your appliances like shit. They're not going to take care of them. So I'm replacing appliances constantly. And there are certain things you can wait on and certain things you can't, right? If the windows are a little drafty, you can wait to replace the windows. Maybe do them 2 at a time. But you can't not have heat, and you can't have a roof leaking. So you can't have an appliance that doesn't work, or a refrigerator doesn't work. I just have to replace a refrigerator. It's a pain in the ass, and it's expensive. And even if you see a refrigerator on sale, they charge you to deliver. They charge you to take out the old one. This is just the way it goes. So you want to get a good idea of how new things are, because that'll give you an idea of what capital improvements you're going to have to make if you hold the property for a while. I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in finding out about a course I have that teaches how to do what I do, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching I offer, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help me. And please keep the comments coming. I post 5 times a week. I very often have no idea what the hell I'm going to talk about. So you can ask any comment. Doesn't even have to be about the video you're watching. And thank you, John. I appreciate you watching. And if it's something simple, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something I've covered before, I'll send you links to the videos. And if it's something new, I'll do a new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I didn't stop. I didn't end it. That's not good. Sorry.